Good evening, everybody. Welcome along, and thank you very much for joining me on this Toys of the Jedi live stream. Tonight, we're going to be discussing all of the news and reveals from this afternoon's Fan First Friday event, talking about the Hasbro Razor Crest, and we're also going to be talking about the Mandalorian Season 2. Now, tonight, I'm very fortunate to be joined by a very good friend of mine. He's another person that I met at Toys R Us back in 2015 at the Force Friday event. That was the first one for, like I say, the Force Awakens. He's also a stand-up comedian, currently living in exile. But most importantly, he's a massive Star Wars fan. It is Jonathan Hipkiss. Jonathan, welcome along.
Hello, pal. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, thank you very much. Welcome to the channel. We are still getting a few people in. I've got a couple of people in the chat already there. Daniel Chart and Delvian Seek. Good evening indeed. Welcome along. John, for those of you who are joining the stream and don't know John, can you give us a bit of a background about yourself? I've given you a bit of an introduction there, but what was your introduction to Star Wars? What's your cred?
To Star Wars, I was given the VHS tapes in 1995, so I would have been either 4 or 5 off my cousin. Didn't like them, wasn't interested. He said, just have these. They're taking up too much space. Watch them like most people, and life, life, childhood, and life changed.
Mm-hmm.
First toy I got, we were on a family holiday, me, mom, dad, my nan and granddad. It was down in Exeter, Weymouth, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But I can remember I'd saved up my pocket money, so I'd had the films on video. We're in Woolies, and there's the 12-inch Han Solo from the Power of the Force 2 line. I said, I need this toy. I have to have this toy. And I got a visceral memory of my mum saying, another pocket money toy. He's not bothered, just whatever. My granddad said, no, we'll get it. And then here we are 25 years later. And, that was the first of...
Still going strong.
A lot of joy and a lot of collecting.
And you can see a fair bit of, obviously, your collection behind you there.
There's a bit you can see. I think maybe there's the Geonosis arena. Some Jedi filled out. The top shelf is filled different figures, some sideshow stuff. Down here, maybe you can maybe catch the tail end of some Clone Wars figures.
Yeah, just about.
Possibly. We got a Darth Goofy here.
Just for good measure. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, here we go.
Absolutely.
Do you want me to subvert your expectations, Chris?
Go on, then. Just what you need. Absolutely. Perfect. Right. Okay. Moving swiftly on. So yeah, like I say, we're going to have a look at some of the bits and pieces that were revealed on the live stream by Hasbro earlier on today. I'm going to start with the Black Series. So let's just bring up that now, if you'll bear with me. So these were the first thing that they were talking about, which was the Kenner-inspired deco on Black Series figures. Obviously, previously released the Boba Fett as a con exclusive. That's one that I'd love to have actually got my hands on, but didn't see enough of that, unfortunately. They then did the Zuckuss and Forlom back to front again in the Kenner deco, and they've now moved on to the Jawa. Now, this one it's got the soft goods cloak, as you can see. They determined that as it was going to be a bit more value for money compared to the vinyl cape, which was obviously the shorter released one. I think he looks quite nice. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I quite like that logo on those type of figures. The Jawa, it helps with the card backs, obviously. I think they went with the right choice, to be fair. I'm not entirely sure whether my eyes have sunk into, a couple of the others yet, but I fully get the intention. Am I don't know whether I'm going to get them yet. I honestly don't know. How about you? Are you fully on board for like a straight purchase or?
I'm quite glad that the Black Series isn't my scale. That
Yeah,
I'm fully
I
invested
mean
in.
the back. That's a really nice touch. That makes it. That was I was quite yeah. I like that a lot. But no, like yourself. I mean, you haven't shown a picture yet. I don't want to jump the gun too much, but I don't know how I feel about the Ben Kenobi and the Greedo really. But I don't want to be a downer too much too early.
Yeah, I think Dan's obviously hit the nail on the head there. Not too sure about these Kenner style
Something,
Black Series. It just seems a bit off. I would tend to agree, if I'm honest.
yeah, no, I agree.
They aren't quite there. And like you say, we'll have a look at the rest of them. I think the Jawa kind of was the easiest lean
Oh,
into it
absolutely.
because it's just a cloth cape over the top. It still looks pretty sensible on that side of things. Next up, you got the Greedo. They've stated obviously that the vest on this one, they didn't include the vest over the top, just whipped that off and did a different paint job. Bizarrely, this is actually doing world building for Black Series.
I know.
Because you could put him in the background of a cantina scene and what have you, that it would work to build out a bit of a diorama. What do you think on it? I think it looks all right. I can see what they're going for.
I can see what they're going for, but in their execution of what they're going for, I think it just highlights the fact that it's. I think they hit the nail on the head early when they were going for simplicity, and by doing simplicity, that's what it looks like. Is it looks very simple.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
very quick.
Yeah, and for the price point that they want of these, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. But that's just me, perhaps being a little too maybe overthinking it, maybe. But they are good fun, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean they're good. And to be fair, there's collectors have been crying out for this sort of stuff for quite a while. I wasn't one of those collectors, but there are collectors out there that have been screaming to get the Kenner Deco stuff out there again. He looks all right. He looks, yeah, but he's by no means my favourite. Not going to be jumping on that one straight away.
Is he there? You'd see he could look like another character. It's decent enough for it to be like you say. You could world build if you're doing a diorama scene. You could go just change a few things, and there you go. You've got a new character.
And that's exactly it. It's being able to do that sort of world building actually works quite well. But I'm not sure if that's what Black Series collectors want. Do they want the Black world building? I mean, if you're in the chat, speak up. If you're a Black Series collector, do you want this sort of world building in there, or do you just want the main characters, the greatest hits, as it were?
See, I just dip into the Black Series as and what I enjoy or feel like getting. So maybe that's me being an outsider to that line, perhaps.
Potentially, but like I say, it's still a bit of a weird one. Before we jump on to the next one, just a quick hello to Tim. Thank you very much for coming along, and also to Nick. Hello, gents.
Hello there.
Yeah. And Tim as well. Tim Bainbridge, welcome along. Right.
Whenever Chris calls me, that's how I answer the phone every time. Is hello there.
Yes, we. Stop it! He's already on here. You can't say that. Nick's here. You just. So taking a look onto the next one, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi with his vinyl cape. So they've done away with the soft goods for this one. Obviously, they've tried to match up the orange to the original one there. And they also said this is the first one with the first human photoreal in this series. It might mean that there are some collectors that pick this one up just to swap their head over with the other one, I'm afraid. But we'll see. The lightsaber also on this one, they've said is opaque. So again, going back to that Kenner style, not the transparent stuff that we're a bit more used to today. Which, given what they're going for, I thought was a nice touch. I did think they'd go for a yellow blade for this one.
Yeah, that would have been the final touch, really. Was if you're going for that style, just go, I don't know, maybe go all in. But I mean, what was your initial thought as soon as you saw that?
Easy pass, if I'm honest. Easy pass. It's not for me. It
I
really
like.
isn't.
He looks like a character you might see on when you're on holiday and you see the knockoffs abroad, and you would see him on the box. That's to me, that's what you would see. But I totally get the intention. It's a nice idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 50 years of Lucasfilm, but I don't know. But again, the simplicity of it might be its downfall for me
Yeah,
personally. But that's he neither here nor there for other folk.
yeah. It's yeah. I mean, obviously, anyone in the chat, are you looking at picking any of those ones up at all? They're quite easy passes for me, but I'm sure somebody wants them.
Mhm.
Moving on. This is something I think you're probably quite a little bit interested in, or piqued your interest at least.
I am
Uh,
indeed.
we did have these two show up at, I think these were Celebration exclusives. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And they were obviously the exclusive packaging, just a slightly shiny card back, really thick cardstock. These weren't they? And they're expanding that line out a little bit to include the Battle Droid. This was one of the first figures that was available in that line, wasn't it? Back in 1999.
Yeah, I had a load of these for my birthday. The episode 1 figures. Chris gets annoyed at my I don't know whether you do, but I was 8 when the Phantom Menace came out. And I've got it's tied to me with such joy and innocence, and the amount of times I was swinging a lightsaber around, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and so the episode 1 is quite special to me, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the same Battle Droid sculpt that they released in the main line
Yeah,
not so long ago, but it's coming on that very nice card. So I think it's a sensible one there.
it was a nice touch to keep it with the foil. I have to say. I mean, I haven't got the Darth Maul. I've got the Obi-Wan. Purely, as I say, it was like after Luke, Ewan's Obi-Wan is my favorite character. But these, I have to say that I was quite. It was isn't it interesting though, Chris? What was your thought that they've got the saga now, and they said we're celebrating the saga, so they go from these vintage style, Ben Greedo, etc., and then they go episode 1.
They've obviously got quite a lot of content to grab from. They've now got an embarrassment of riches of where they can draw the media from. So I didn't find it too jarring. I thought they were kind of doing their homage to the 50th stuff straight onto the callback to another popular film with the Phantom Menace. I didn't find it too jarring, and I think these are quite nice figures. I think they're sensible ones to get out there again on that card back. It should do well. There's not a lot of nostalgia kicking about for the Phantom Menace now. So
There is, as my generation I hate that term, but comes of age. I think we'll start to see more of this with the prequels, especially some of the conversations that are happening right now around them. But that's a different topic, maybe.
yeah. Next up, Mace Windu.
This is a great sculpt, I have to say. I
Really
mean,
is.
yeah. This is where with the photo reel you can really see it's 10 out of 10. If I were all in on the Black Series, I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
To me, with these figures, is you look at them, you go, Sam Jackson. Easy.
Yeah.
That's Sam Jackson.
100%, mate. 100%. These are really up to par, aren't they? They're cracking looking figures like that. I think I did see. Where are we? Yeah. If you're going back to the the old style of these, then Dan's absolutely right. Maybe should have had a blue one originally as he first came out.
Yeah, that's a good
Although
shout.
was that on that card block, or was it the sneak preview figure that had the blue one?
He was the sneak preview figure, had the blue one, and then when they did release him for episode 1, because of course he didn't ignite the blade and we didn't really see the hilt only once briefly, it was just a case of a quick guess, I think.
Yeah, and obviously I think because you actually saw Sam Jackson in the robes and everything, and he's going when he's having that conversation with George. It's like, so what color lightsaber am I getting at? How about purple? So it's clearly during production of the film that the actual blade color was decided. So, no real surprise that Hasbro didn't quite get it right first time on that one. So we'll give him a bit of leeway on that. But yeah, lovely looking figure, certainly.
I thought with that one, Chris, sorry to interrupt a second. If you removed the Black Series logo from the picture and you had no prior knowledge, you could think that that's maybe a sideshow quality figure if you look at it very quickly.
Yeah.
In that particular stance.
Yeah. Cracking figure. Definitely a good one to come out. Right, and on to the last one for this. No, not quite the last one, I say. This is the third one. Qui-Gon Jinn, some of the interesting bits and pieces they picked out with this. They did try and do the photo reel on this figure originally. However, the lumps and bumps on Liam Neeson's face made it a bit more difficult, so they had to do a completely new sculpt. I say completely new. Had to tweak the original sculpt to make it fit the way they do the photo printing onto the faces. So yeah, it's slightly different on there. Get a nice close up on the face here. What do you think to this one? Is this on your list?
I've already got him when he was originally released. And again, to tie back to what I said earlier, with the Black Series, I purely dip into I love Qui-Gon. I loved how, Chris, you and I have talked about this before, but since Dave Filoni's speech in Disney Gallery making Mandalorian, when he spoke about episode 1, I love how fascinated people have become with the character more still. But he always held quite a high regard, really. Even back in the day, people said, "Oh, he gave the only good performance." But for this particular figure, again, I think it will be really popular on that card back. And again, I think they've made the right choice to keep it in that foil packaging.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I do agree.
Do you like the logo, the 50 logo being slapped on, or you're not overly bothered?
I don't like it, to be honest.
Really?
Really not keen on it. I don't think it's a great logo. I think they did a nicer job with some of their previous ones, the 30th and the 40th. Both were nicer logos. I think it's a bit distracting. And certainly when we get onto some of the stuff a little bit later on, I really think it was a misstep on putting it on some of that. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
Right, and the other one, Jar Jar Binks. I think they absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
They absolutely had to put Jar Jar on this card back. No two ways about it. He's come down in price a little bit as well from the deluxe one, but you do miss out on the shield. There he is.
Look at that.
I think it's a good one, and some of the photos I've seen with people who've had the standard or the deluxe one, I should say, from the main line, as it were. Some of the photos that people have had with him are having great fun. So yeah,
it's a brilliant. All through, even when I was an early teen, and your knowledge isn't overly good of collecting or action figures, I got there's some really fantastic Jar Jar sculpts out there. And this, I have to say, I don't know whether I will, I not instantly looking to pre-order him, but it's a gorgeous sculpt, I have to say. It really is.
Yeah, it's a good one. And it depends on what you want him for. Personally, I think the extra bits and pieces for that deluxe one were a little bit of overkill. So getting this one for 25 rather than, I think it was 29 or 30 quid, $30, I think is a sensible approach on that.
See, that's the only thing that does it for me sometimes, Chris, is the price point. You go, oh, wow, if you're budgeting, or if you have a certain amount and you think, right, 32 pound for one figure, that's maybe where it can feel a bit iffy for me, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So those were the episode 1 figures that they're looking to re-release. They then moved on to a couple of Bad Batch figures. Now, the first 2 with these were just the packaging images for Crosshair and Hunter, because obviously we'd seen the figures themselves in previous live streams. This was just the reveal of the box art for those. By all accounts, it should make for a very nice display against once you got them all lined up in a row. I think they should do very well like that. And obviously, once you get the series out there as well, demand for these characters is gonna ramp up. Are either of those 2 something that you're interested in on that?
Again, not particularly. I do think that now that they put the artwork on this box, it is a lot more striking rather than, if I were to have, say, the figures lined up on a wall, just a sea of red with a black number, is not overly appealing on the eye. But they look like good. I mean, that was a good arc, a nice fun arc in the Clone Wars. So I think, if the Bad Batch is a success, then people will want the toys. Simple supply and demand, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. It's and they should fill out for quite a nice group. Obviously, if they go on, it makes perfect sense that they would go on and fill out that team at least. Certainly with the series coming up. So yeah, sensible approach on that. And the other one that they sort of revealed was the let me just check the name, the Elite Squad Trooper. So I'm guessing he's going to be one of the ones that follows the Bad Batch into battle with various bits and pieces.
Was he the pipeline guy? Was he announced in the pipeline or not?
This I don't know. This was one that they did reveal.
Right.
He's all your is it Phase 2 clone armor, all nicely in black. So should be some decent articulation on that, and obviously just comes with a single blaster. But I can imagine people army building that to make quite a nice display.
Yeah, he looks nice. I agree. It's always difficult, when we're fed these images before we've seen the show. We've got no attachment to them or understanding, I guess. But they're getting ahead of the curve, and he looks good.
Yeah, he looks decent. I think he helps flesh out that display. If you've got the Bad Batch characters, he goes along with it quite nicely. So I could see that making perfect sense. So with them revealing that figure, that actually rounds out that wave. So that's the one that comes with Bo-Katan, Ventress, Hunter, and Crosshair all in that one wave. So yeah, those were the actual reveals that they had for the Black series. I do just want to nip back and pick up some of the housekeeping they touched on at the top of the show for anyone who wasn't listening. A lot of people obviously have been complaining about the pre-orders and the bit of a mess up that has been happening, certainly over in the States. Very sorry, we've actually had for once a much easier ride with some of that over here in the UK. They did apologise for that, and without actually naming names, they were obviously referring to Walmart. They did say they are focused on addressing those issues. Conversations are happening, and they want to get it sorted out as soon as possible, because they hear the frustrations of what's been happening with that. Orders being cancelled, then it going back up for double the price, was it almost?
Yeah, it was extortionate.
It was not a good situation at all.
Completely removes all the fun.
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely they're aware of that problem, even if it isn't sorted out immediately. The other thing was the TBC or Vintage Collection specialty waves, or repaint waves as it were. That's kind of been a bit of a mess from the get-go, really, because none of these waves were meant to hit brick and mortar. They were all meant to be fan channel exclusives or online only sort of thing, never meant to hit retail, mainly because these were not meant to clog up the lines, the aisles full of these figures that none of us as collectors particularly want, because most of us have got them. So they did address that a little bit. They said those are meant to be targeted at kids, so new fans and possibly international collectors who hadn't had a chance at them the first time around. I get that, fair enough, and it sounds like they are going to try and fix it in 2020 by moving to a new SKU. A SKU is basically how they determine what to order in store. So even if they do show up in store, you've still got that that option for the stores themselves to go, yes, we do want this SKU, or no, we don't. A couple of them on shelves wouldn't hurt, but I think it's more the thing that us as collectors are a bit more worried about is some of the figure selection.
It's always, it fills the heart to see Star Wars on pegs, but if it becomes a dumping ground, then you will run a very high risk. And it's such a fine balance, as because like any fan community, but Star Wars fans will let you know when they're not happy, and quite rightly so. This is hard-earned cash that is being parted with on stuff we love, and if you don't like it, you won't buy it.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, hopefully they can just make some sensible suggestions. Well, some sensible selections coming up with the next wave, whatever that is. Right. So, before we move on to the vintage collection reveals, just want to say a couple of hellos. Hello, Marty. Welcome along. And also,
Hello there.
Star Wars Toys Mania UK. Welcome along. Thank you for joining us. And C Moles, not to worry about being late. I'm glad you're here. So, thank you very much. Moving on. So, like I say, Vintage Collection was up next, and they talked about how the original 96 is still very much a focus of what they want to get through. Revealed 3 figures for the original 96. First up was the AT-ST driver. I love it, mate. I absolutely love that card back. It's a proper classic Kenner card, one that arguably should have been released in the 2010 release of the Vintage Collection, but that's neither here nor there. And just having a look at the figure. This is a figure. It's a re-release. It's the same figure that came in the the AT-ST crew, again from the first run of the Vintage Collection, and it comes with the same details, same accessories and what have you, as you can see there. Now, this figure is actually the character Richard Marquand played in the film Major Marquand, who was the director of Return of the Jedi, for those who are unaware. So it's great that he's actually coming out. He's the one that they selected for the card back. Very apt choice there. I do like that indeed. What do you think of this figure?
I mean, any of the Vintage Collection that are on those 96 cards, they've already got a running start for me. Fresh out the gate, I'm more than happy. But I agree with you totally. When I saw the card back, it just evoked. I mean, look at that. Who does? I mean, I wasn't born because, as you you have a few just a few years on me, my friend. But that doesn't make a difference, because I think we all feel a kid again when something as simple as that. But what I like as well is that it's really important that that's the image that they've gone with, because it means that they know we're going to want to see that. I think the figure looks fantastic. I agree with you. Again, maybe because I'm not a Black Series guy, I wasn't overly fussed on that logo being on the Black Series, whereas that it's not working, is it? It's not going to look when you have the 96, if you have them pinned on your wall and if you've got them in release order or story order, it's not going to fit that well, is it really?
No, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Tim's absolutely right. That logo.
What
Get
does
shot.
Busk's Bounty, that logo? Absolutely, I agree, 110%.
Yeah, it's one of those that here in the UK, when they did the first run of TBC, we had quite often had a little black sticker that went over that corner for the like the age warning logos and that sort of stuff. I'd quite happily get another little black sticker and just put it straight over the top of that, because it doesn't fit. It looks out of place. I don't know. Maybe that's a removable sticker, which would be fine. But I severely doubt it, unfortunately. If it was,
I might have one to hand for you, Chris, to show. But as I was, that was a terrible co-host.
you just left me. You just left me.
I'm going to try and show you one like this, but I couldn't. I couldn't reach it.
No, not to worry. Not to worry. I mean, you never know. These are still far enough out that actually we may be able to provide some feedback to Hasbro to say, look, if you're going to put that on there, make it a removable sticker. So you can still promote your 50th of Lucasfilm, but it gives us that are actually going to be displaying it over a much longer period of time the option of removing it if we want to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, possibly, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they should be doing. So if we're a loud enough community, we can get that message over to Hasbro that actually that might be what we want to do. Maybe it's worth commenting on some of the Hasbro Pulse posts where they've been showing these things. That's the sort of thing we want to be gone. So yeah, but overall, yeah, absolutely stunning card back. I just think needs a little bit of tweaking with that 50th logo. So yes, moving on to the next figure that they revealed. Oh, quite a few different poses. Loves the camera, does our ATST driver. Yes, so next up we had Paplu, another one of the 96. This now somebody's going to have to remind me, is this one of the last 17, or is Paplu one that fits into the main line? I'm rubbish with the Ewok names and where they fall into it.
I think he was last 17, but I'm quite happily to be corrected.
Yeah, I mean, he's a definite pickup. Anyway, there's no argument there. I mean, I thought the thank you, C Moles. Yes, last 17. Cheers. Basically, I think what it looks like, because they did a Paplu figure a while ago, which was all right. And I think most collectors would have been quite happy with that one. But it looks to me like they've updated the articulation. Maybe it's one of the other Ewok bodies that they've used it previously in the vintage collection. Mm-hmm. Just updated the head. What they have said is it's an all new hood, spear, knife combo, even with a little feather on the top as well. And they put a nice wash into that detailing. So yeah, lovely little Paplu there.
Look at that. That's absolute. That look, the detailing on that face. It's gorgeous. You know, you'd quite happily pay the $14.99 price for it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So Tim's saying, oh no, where are we? On there. Here we go. Looking, and it's a repaint of Lumat. Okay, yeah.
Yes, okay.
That's a cracking figure as well, that one. Although very easily lost arrows, if you have that one. But yeah, lovely little figure. Really puckered lips. I don't know if that's anyone's cup of tea, but yeah.
When I'm shopping for Ewoks, if they ain't got puckered lips.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, lovely little figure, that one.
Yeah, it should be a big hit. Should be a big hit.
Yeah, I think so. And again, plenty of poses on this one as well. So, right. Princess Leia, Endor. Now, we already had the vintage style card back in the Saga collection of Princess Leia. The figure itself now is a little bit outdated. She doesn't quite line up with the rest of the vintage collection as well as perhaps she should. So I can understand why they've gone for a bit of a tweak to the details on this one and done a new figure. What do you think of that card back before we jump into the figure itself?
Love, without sounding like a broken record about the logo, obviously, I love the card back. I've always loved that image. It's that facial expression of Carrie's just fits it perfectly. It's a moment of time, really.
Yeah.
And the figure itself, the green on the back of the bubble works just right. It's really quite striking, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, there's the issue with the 50th anniversary logo, but we can move past that fairly sharpish. So looking at the figure itself, yeah, I think not sure if this is the final material they're going to use. It looks quite thick. Whether that's going to sit properly on the figure or she's just going to look like she's all poofed out, I don't know.
In a bizarre way, Chris, I quite like it. It has a vintage vibe, of not being quite perfect, but I understand that we are striving for as close to perfection as heaven doth allow.
Well, yeah, I mean, this figure, I should say, the Kenner figure, does hold a very special place in my heart. It was the very first Star Wars figure I ever bought.
Really?
Yeah, I was I grew up. Born in '82, so by all accounts, I shouldn't be a Star Wars fan. And I found it at a one of the school rummage sales, complete somehow. Paid a couple of quid for it. Was well pleased because it had the removable helmet, the poncho, the gun, the belt. It was like there's loads of stuff with this. It's a great little army figure. I loved it. I didn't even know that it was necessarily Star Wars, but yeah, cracking figure, that one. And so this figure does hold quite a special place for me. She looks to have decent articulation on this one. Don't know if that's rocker ankles on there. I don't think so. I think they have run into problems in the past with the Leia figure that she ended up with cankles because her legs are so skinny. You try and put too much articulation in there, it doesn't work. What do you think about the helmet on this one?
It looks a bit oversized, but I don't know. I guess depending on which scene you were going to display her in, or in a diorama, or for photos, especially if you're going to put her with Wicket in that lovely scene when they meet, then you wouldn't really need to put it on her, I guess. And if you want to capture that detail of the face, it does seem to overshadow the face a little bit, but maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's a little large. Again, we'll have to wait and see in hand, but for me, that does look a bit big comparatively. I may end up just grabbing the old helmet and popping that on instead. But we'll see. But otherwise, yeah, that looks like a lovely shot right there.
Yeah.
That really works. So yeah, fantastic looking figure in Princess Leia. Where are we? So yeah, different knees. The head's definitely a different one. So hopefully new, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, still sticking with the vintage collection. I take it this apparently did well for you then, John. These reveals. So first out of the gate we had Ahsoka in her season 7 outfit Yeah, fantastic sculpt, all new sculpt. It's basically not just super articulated, it's hyper articulated because of all the extra cuts that they've put in to allow her to get properly into those fluid Jedi moves. They've also put some cuts in the plastic of her skirt to make sure that, again, she can properly stretch out as she needs to. It's a soft plastic, so it's not soft goods. It's a soft plastic to, again, allow that flex in there. This one has got rocker ankles, and she's going to be coming in the main line of the vintage collection. I should have actually said all of the 3 original 96 ones that were in there are going to be Walmart exclusives. So fingers crossed they have sorted out the problems by the time that comes around. Yeah, they're not up for pre-order just yet. But Ahsoka here, she is already showing up for pre-order, certainly over our side of things. I think she's looking great. If I'm honest.
Absolutely 10 out of 10. I remember when after we'd first watched those as they were dropping those final episodes of the Clone Wars, Chris, and we spoke, and I said it's so powerful because Rex and Ahsoka, they're now legacy characters to us. I think that it's. I mean, this is the very first. So this is the. I picked this little gallop from Midnight Madness of August 08 when they dropped all the stuff when they threw those Clone Wars episodes together for the pictures. Love the character. I mean, look at that. It captures every essence of her character in that sculpt. The lightsabers look the detail on them, the posing, the articulation. It's she continues to be a really special character, and it just blew. I mean, we knew it was coming. You know, we'd heard a few different things and stuff, but it's gorgeous. Really is gorgeous. This is, to me, can be the pinnacle of 3.75. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
When it's done well, the 3.75 figures are rivaled, but they're never equaled.
Yeah. Chef's kiss. I think it's going to be those one of those things where it'll be interesting to see when you put this vintage collection one next to the Black Series one in the same outfit, what the comparison is going to look like on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like I say, I think this one's going to hold up as the winner. Looks fantastic.
I mean, you look at the other one already. The other day I saw, but I think it was unpunched. The Clone Wars Ahsoka mint on card. I think it was about 280, something like that.
Yeah,
easy.
Yeah, maybe one to get a couple of for the future. Just I think, because that, like you say, that original Ahsoka card is silly money now. If you're trying to get hold of it, the popularity of this character has just gone through the roof. It's someone else.
Quite rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think as Dan's putting it there. Oh no! Come on, catch up. My chat in studio chat is not quite as quick as the one on screen. So yes, the other character. Yeah, another one that is absolutely perfect to go alongside that Ahsoka. This is the sort of joined up thinking that should be happening more often from Hasbro. You're releasing an Ahsoka figure at the same time as the Darth Maul. You've got the battle right there, the scene there. Just run with it. So absolutely very sensible to release this one. And again, those mechanical legs look fantastic. It's yeah.
I when they were talking, when they slightly elongated the face, makes total sense. It looks phenomenal. A brand new sculpt again, and this is the kind of stuff that when you get it, you just want more of it. You want
Yeah.
more stuff of this caliber, this quality, and you just wish that we would have dozens and dozens and dozens of these quality figures. I mean, look at that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, plenty of articulation, rocker ankles, and like you say, the elongated face that they've done just to keep the realistic style, just tweak it ever so slightly to bring it into the animated. Excellent, and it'll blend in beautifully with the rest of your realistic Star Wars figures. Yeah, really excited for this one. This one does look
They
indeed.
didn't show the card backs,
Oh.
which still gives us some. Maybe they know we're in lockdown, so we need something to look forward to.
Yeah, keep the powder dry.
Spread it out
for later in the year. And again, yeah, it looks like you can get plenty of decent poses out of this figure. So yeah, I think Maul is another insta buy, as it were.
Has anybody pre-ordered at all, or would be interesting to know?
Well, you've got I think Star Action Figures over here in the UK. In fact, most of the UK retailers, ID Toys, have had them up. Geeky Nerdy Toys. Who's the other ones? Comics and Cocktails. They've all had this one up for pre-order, and the Ahsoka.
Good.
So, and they seem to be doing well, from what I can tell.
They would be.
Plenty of good stuff on there to come. Right. So now, this next bit is what they call their pipeline. They're trying something new. I hope it doesn't backfire on them. It's basically they're trying to give us a bit more information ahead of time. I think it's partially to stop some of the leaks that come out, because if they're the ones going, right, well, this stuff's coming, we're going to tell you about it so you don't find out about it elsewhere. So they're effectively controlling the source on that side of things. So yeah, and I think these look like sensible suggestions. You've got basically these were the 5 Black Series ones that they announced were coming, which is, I always forget this chap's name, Tech, from the Bad Batch. So you mentioned earlier that, yeah, they were doing another one definitely coming out there. So that would leave us with, Wrecker. I think Wrecker was the big bruiser in the group. And, who's the other one? I think, yeah, there may have been one more, of which I haven't got to grips with the names yet on those yet, so we'll see on that one. So yeah, the other one.
Saw those final 4 episodes, I just forgot everything else.
Yeah, they were so good. They were so good. They're also doing a Aura Singh, and that's in her main Clone Wars outfit, which is also the one that she appeared in The Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Zero from The Mandalorian, so he's the one of the mercenaries that the Mando teamed up with in season 1, and then ended up as a translator for the Frog Lady in season 2. We've got Cosca Reeves from season 2, and also General Lando Calrissian from Return of the Jedi. I can see them all being very sensible, very popular releases. Should do very well in the Black Series, certainly.
Did they give a time scale, or is it just
No.
this year? Maybe they haven't even said.
No, this is literally a look. We are doing these figures. They're out in advance. We're not going to commit to a date on this, and I think it really is so early on in the production of these figures that the date could shift, and that's where I hope that it doesn't end up burning them, because they're giving this information out there. We've seen things slip off the production schedule in the past. We've seen that Captain Rex figure that was with the removable helmet in Droid Factory slip off the production line. We've seen the unreleased Utai. In fact, I released something on the Toys of the Jedi Instagram feed earlier today, which was the Probe Droid escape pod. The Probe Droid pod with Echo-based consoles and a completely unique figure to go with it. Didn't end up getting made. The prototype stuff was there, didn't end up happening. So you have to think that they've got to be pretty confident that these ones are going to be coming out for them to be putting them out there like they have. I just hope it doesn't get too much of a case of, well, we already know about those figures. You told us about them last year, so where's the new stuff? And I think so long as they keep the pipeline stuff going, so that yes, we're telling you now you're getting these ones. When these are actually revealed as figures, they're going to tell us then, well, these are the next lot of pipeline figures, and you keep that chain going. I think that'll work. But I just hope they don't get burnt by it. If you know what I mean.
One would hope that they haven't just thought of it yesterday, and they are at least in some kind of stage. But no, I agree with you totally. That's a fair thing to say, that these are all sensible figures to be doing right now. I think no matter what you do, no matter what wave, you've got to have a classic character in there. But I think at the minute, pretty much anything they do with the Mandalorian will be a hit.
Yeah.
So far so good.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to quickly pick up on something Tim's highlighted. The Ahsoka and Maul wave is, I think, wave 33 or however you're counting it. The other two figures that are likely to be in that wave are Echo, Clone Trooper Echo, and the Off-World Jawa, just to round it out. So a set of 4 figures if you are looking to pre-order the wave as a whole. Thank you very much, Tim. Right. The other side of things was the pipeline stuff for the vintage collection. Now, yes, we Black Series Junior, as we're rather criminally referred to, we only got 2 reveals, although they are two reveals that one's long overdue, the other, well, equally almost long overdue. The IG-11 and Lando Calrissian in his Bespin outfit. Those of you who've already got the Bespin Lando from the original trilogy collection back in 2004 will probably have noticed that his torso has turned green, and he didn't really have enough articulation in the elbows to really tie up with the vintage collection standards. So fantastic that they're having another bash at him. I don't know. What did you think of the Black Series version? Is that something they'll just scale it down and be happy with?
Yeah, that Black Series one I picked up from the Entertainer when they were doing them for £11, which I thought was good value for money with that one. But really, like, you touched on it a minute or two ago with Ahsoka and Maul together. This Lando should have been revealed last summer when they did the carbon freezing chamber, and it might have helped just propel that along a bit more. I mean, we're still waiting on the Leia, Bespin Leia, for that. And again, IG-11, if people want to have a few, digs and stuff, yeah, they are playing catch up with these two, really.
Yeah. I mean, the IG-11 should have been a fairly straightforward update to the IG-88. Yes, I know there's differences in there, but as far as I remember, the IG-11 was a digital sculpt anyway, so surely that should have just been updating that side of things. Very popular character in the first season.
And he was in the second season. He was a statue before they went into the school. Don't know why it doesn't quite count as a cameo, I guess, but surely they can release that statue as a I don't know, bookend or something like that.
I'm sure somebody's already had that discussion with them about that, if they've got any sense. But I think again, and this goes back to what Patrick was saying in previous live streams, you are going to get the characters that interacted with the Razor Crest. So yeah. This was one that I think was as a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer from Hasbro to get this one out there. So
really, we should have had some other reveals today, because these should have been done and dusted, like you say, a long time ago.
Well, absolutely, and I think just touching on that, we did that was the last of the reveals, as it were, for today. Yeah, I think I was pleased with some of the stuff we got. Certainly the vintage stuff. I was not really expecting as much vintage collection reveals as we actually got, so quite pleased with that. But I was expecting some other stuff instead. I mean, for me, what were you expecting from today? And what did it meet your expectations? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I thought for the first one of the year. I mean, they seem to get into a good rhythm with these in the last half of 2020. I thought it was good. I mean, you and I spoke after a couple of them, and we were quite happy. Maybe an update on the crest. Maybe.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have seen some images or sketches or just a little. Here we are in the just because it was such a brilliant campaign. People have invested all the money, but I'm sure that's anticipation is always the key with anything. So the more they can build anticipation, the more excited we're only going to get.
Absolutely. And I think the bit for me, like you say, the vintage collection Razor Crest, I was expecting a little bit of an update, just something in there, a little tidbit, just even if it was just a I don't know, an image of the Mandalorian figure, because I don't think we've seen him with the cape, the soft goods cape properly. We've seen digital renderings, but I don't think we've seen the. Oh no, I suppose they were in the production photos. But something I think would have been there. But by the same token, what would be New York Toy Fair isn't that far away. Now, while the actual show's cancelled, I'm still expecting them to do some sort of live stream of, well, here's the stuff we would have shown you at this time. So maybe the box art at that time.
That's what I'm excited for. Yeah, that's what I'd be happy to see, I think. But like you say, pandemic or no pandemic, it hasn't affected really the catalog that Hasbro can go through. Online retailers booming. Was it Hasbro were up by however much. But really, no, I enjoyed it. I think they've got a good little. I like it when they go up front and they say, "This is what we're listening to. This is what we're hearing from you guys." I think it's nice and relaxed. It's good. I enjoy. We're at a good place. It's taken a while. I don't want to get too bogged down with, but for a year or two, it was weird to be a Star Wars fan. After certain different things, but we're in a good place. We've got season 2 of The Mandalorian's finished. We've got some great products coming out, and they're listening to what we want.
Yeah, that's the bit. That's the big bit. I think some of it was. There used to be the hashtag the vintage conversation, and that seems to be happening a bit more at the moment. It's great watching Steve Evans' Instagram account. Some of the stuff that he's putting out there, some really interesting stuff, and looking at his collection. I know he's not on Star Wars anymore, but he still talks a lot of Star Wars and gets a lot of that out there. So yeah, there's definitely some positives on that, even though they didn't reveal everything. I mean, from the Black Series, decent amount of stuff. I'm sure there's some more rumors in the pipeline on that side of things. Yak Face is always hot on those and what's coming up. Looks to be some interesting bits and pieces coming up there, but that's for another day. I think at this point I'd just like to say, anybody, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. That way you get the heads up anytime we do drop a new video. Do remember to click the like button on this one as well. Again, helps it with the algorithms to get out there. And yet the other thing I wanted to say is we do have on Instagram and Twitter, both, well, at Toys of the Jedi on Instagram, at Toys Jedi on Twitter. We do our daily figure of the day post, which basically I pick a character, I find the best version of that toy in the 3.75-inch scale and do a little bit of commentary about it. And if I picked a character that doesn't have an equivalent figure, I'll call them out and say this one needs making. So, bit of a daily update for you guys, something to just look at every day. So, if that's something that interests you, do go over and give us a follow on there and join the conversation on a daily basis. Right, moving on to the next portion of this. Going to be, like I say, having a look at the Mandalorian Season 2. Now that it's completely done, it's dusted. You touched on it earlier that Star Wars is in a much better place now. Star Wars fandom, the fact that we're all really enthusiastic about it. It's a massively different feeling to how it was 12 to 24 months ago. Really has come around quite a lot. What were your thoughts on season 2 then? Because obviously we had season 1 gone, obviously did well enough to do a season 2. So how did you find season 2 of The Mandalorian?
In an odd way, I think you'll know what I mean when I say it. It's almost bittersweet because it was that good. It was a shame that we couldn't have shared it collectively in a cinema.
Yeah.
It deserved to be up there. The twists, the turns, the story, the emotion. We were so invested in these characters. If you remember, Chris, I said it was such a brilliant place to be. With the prequel trilogy, we knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we cared. But so there was the little problem, was that you knew what was going to happen. With the sequel trilogy, we didn't know what was going to happen, but didn't really care.
By the end of it, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the Mandalorian, we cared, and we had no idea what was, and that's the perfect tightrope to walk as a fan.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned that it would have been good to see it in cinemas together. I still think if cinemas have got any sense, because obviously they're struggling at the moment. Nobody's visiting them because we're all in lockdown. It is what it is. But even prior to that, I know cinemas were struggling to get people through the door, with most people actually having the equivalent of I say most, a lot of people having the equivalent of a cinema in their home. Why pay, I don't know, tenner on your ticket plus popcorn? By the time you're done, it's £20 a person, and that's if you're just going as you. If you're trying to go as a couple, as a family, it gets very expensive very quickly to go to the cinema. So I think, they're going to struggle once they do open up again properly. But something like, actually, if you did take it back to the old Saturday morning matinees, this week we're showing you 3 episodes of The Mandalorian. Come back next week for the next 3. I think I'd turn up to watch Mandalorian on the big screen. Absolutely. Love to.
It wouldn't need much, make a free little gift, a card or something like that, just to get people there. And of course, like you say, it's your own choice. So you couldn't, you go, if I don't want to pay the extra, I'll just watch it at home. But if I do want to go, because the ending has been talked about so much and for quite rightly, but those final 10 minutes for me, I know that I was in the group that was crying tears of joy. I whispered to my, look, I couldn't quite believe it, and it was so. Joy is the only word I can use, but this connection between Din and the child, the direction, the music, it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It was so special. I can't. There's not enough metaphors or words. I think. I'm a Luke Skywalker guy. He's the epicenter of the moral story of Star Wars for me. And to see Luke as I had envisioned him when I was 6, after Return of the Jedi. You know, when I was swinging, much like I did with the prequels, swinging a lightsaber around outside here, pretending to cut down stormtroopers. There's the hero.
Yeah.
There's the hero that we all wanted to see, and because it's very powerful to feel like you're five again. I'm not a I don't know much about psychiatry, but I imagine it's a very visceral, powerful thing for that to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it really was, as Mark Hamill said, that was the Luke Skywalker he created, and I think it was great to see that version of Luke back again, that hero, like you say. Exactly, Dan. The last 10 minutes were what we've wanted to see for 37 years. Yeah, it absolutely was. And I mean, we've jumped straight to the end of the season, but let's face it. Why bury the headline? That was the pinnacle of the season.
And I don't think we can take for granted, this was as much, because I know there was the fair debate. Oh, should they get Sebastian Stan in? Should they do that? But I think I might have mentioned it to you. I think this was just as much for Hamill as it was for everybody else. His behavior was so bizarre sometimes during the promotion for The Last Jedi. Half the time he was saying, I wasn't, this is not my Luke Skywalker. Then the other half, it was clear he'd had a phone call and a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Whereas,
no, come on.
And it was probably one of the best moments of being a Star Wars fan ever for me. In that moment, I'm watching it on but again, the only shame was that everybody witnessed it at different times. So I did a complete blackout on the day. I couldn't watch it till about 6, and boy was I glad that I didn't even look at my phone that day.
Yeah, I mean, you've actually touched on something there that I know has been rather rife in the Star Wars community. Subject to spoilers. I think we're far enough removed now that I didn't need to put a spoiler warning on this one. Apologies to anyone if you haven't seen it, but by the same token, how have you not? If you're a Star Wars fan and you're really genuinely interested in the Mandalorian, how have you not seen it within the first couple of days? At the very least, yeah, I get sometimes life events happen that mean that you're not able to fully understand that, but it's also expected that people are going to want to talk about it. It's that good. If nobody wanted to talk about it, well, it would be rubbish anyway. So what's the point? So I think the onus is on the fan to really, if you're interested, get out there and watch it early before someone could spoil it for you, or like you did for the 24 hours or whatever it was from it being released until you were able to see it.
10 hours. So 10 hours. No, that's it. No, not even going to look. Not even going to. I mean, generally people are pretty good and they won't. But I mean, here's something for you. So obviously, I class myself like you as Hamill would call us UPFs. Showed the Mandalorian to my mom and dad. I said, oh, we'll try and stagger it over Christmas. We watched 2 of season 2. They said, no, let's just keep plowing.
Plow on.
Yeah, got to the Boba Fett episode, the tragedy. My dad said, this is as good as Star Wars. And then we got to the ending. My dad, he goes, no, what? No. My mom was quite emotional as well to see it happen. It was, and the beauty of it is that we'll remember I mean, for a couple of days, I was just so happy watching the reaction videos.
Yeah,
it was more than enough for me. That filled me up. We're all going through this bleak time, and it was so wonderful. And it just goes to show that Luke Skywalker is the hero of generations of these videos. They were men, women, they were from different backgrounds, different countries. It doesn't matter because he's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. He's the hero. That's it. absolutely. And I think, like I say, we've jumped to the end of it, and we've talked about the big piece, but there were some really great moments within the series as well. I think I really enjoyed the was it the siege, that episode where they broke into the Imperial facility.
That was ace.
It was quite early on in the season.
The Carl Weathers episode, because he
Yeah.
because he directed, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was fun. There was a fast pace to it. The humor was the right kind of humor. It was really well put together. I thought, and I think he had quite a lot of fun doing it as well.
I think so. It's a good. You touched on the humor there, and that's one thing that when Star Wars is very funny. When it needs to be. I mean, do you remember? So it's like when Baby Yoda, the child Baby Yoda Grogu, and he's had the cookies. So it releases that tension. So of course, you've got this big kind of story happening. How's he got the Force? What's happening here? But then you do remember, oh, he is a toddler. He's had some cookies, and he thinks he's on a park. And of course, when Din's flying the crest, and he's on, it was really funny. It was so funny, and of course, it just makes you. They were so careful in the writing to deepen their connection and their story. Of course, as it got to the end, you knew that are they going to be separated? But I thought that Pedro Pascal knocked it. He really gave a phenomenal performance, and you can't forget he's acting to a puppet, much like Hamill did in Empire. That takes skill to make us emote as an audience. That takes skill.
Absolutely. And I mean, it was like Dan said, the comedy within it. I think that Mithril was much better in season 2 than he was in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was almost just a bit too hard. Whereas I think in the second season he'd settled into the role a bit more, and he was a lot funnier, a lot better to watch. So it was great to see that. And again, just pulling back to the Luke scene. I haven't reacted to media on screen like that since I was a young kid.
That's a great
literally on the edge of my seat, shaking with excitement, emotion shock, just beautiful filmmaking. I couldn't agree more, because I mean, when I was watching it, and I know we keep going back to this Luke bit, but it was that good. You're watching it, and I was like, is it Luke? Is it Luke? Is it? Because as much as I wanted it to be Luke, once that X-wing came into shot, at the same time, you're kind of like, this is too good to be true. Something's going to be taken away any minute, and then you just see it all go through, and it's like, yes, really, really good. Absolutely fantastic bit of filmmaking.
The tragedy as well was a stormer of an episode. Tamir Morrison just nailed. We spoke about his physicality. It was you really got the sense that this is the Boba Fett that's feared in the galaxy, and that layered the story a lot more. I thought that Rodriguez did a really, really good. Have you? This might be a spoiler. I don't know. Have you seen the second season Disney Gallery making of?
Yeah.
Have you seen how he did his previs?
Yes. Yes. Very, very good. Yeah. I think it's it's a very unique way of doing it. Certainly, the Rodriguez.
That's what we do.
Yeah, but it's well, I think Favreau hinted that he'd done something Well, no, I suppose he'd been doing that since he was a kid, playing with the figures and what have you to make the stories. But to see it actually used as the previs was really good. Again, anyone who hasn't seen the gallery, either season of them, well worth going and having a look at them if you haven't already.
No, I thought that the pacing of season 2, I thought the world building, Cara Dune, really, really delicately great character. I loved how they played the Empire. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that struck just about the right tone.
Yep.
Um, Fennec Shang. It was all the imagery, the scene. It was good. You could tell the care and the love that went into it. Oh,
Absolutely.
we've forgotten the Ahsoka.
Yes. Yeah. I might be a little bit controversial on that one. It wasn't my favorite episode. Um, and I mean, I know obviously the Luke one was, but it wasn't. I still felt that the movement of the character wasn't as energetic as we'd seen in the Clone Wars, um, especially as we had just seen season 7, Ahsoka versus Maul, and that just seen that, and then you go back to something that's much more stoic, static. It didn't quite work
It took
for
me.
me.
I was surprised at the reveal early on in the episode. I thought we would build to her for about 15, 20 minutes. So of course when she's there and cutting down and stuff. But no, I agree. It took me a little while to get into it purely because the animation and Ashley Eckstein's acting had really progressed.
Mhm.
So you go from, like you say, season 7 in February, March, April, May. You're like, wow, that's in your head.
Yeah,
So it just takes that little bit of a shift. But the more I've watched it, the more I've come to accept her as a character. I thought Filoni did a really good job as that as well.
Mm.
I enjoyed the darkness of that episode, the lighting, and of course, it's where we learnt that he's Grogu.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the cinematography in that episode really good. No problem there at all. It was just some of the movements of the character didn't quite sit right for me.
Mhm.
I suppose what I do want to ask is, like I say, we've got season 2 out of the way now. So, and I'm asking this to everybody in the chat as well. Which figure, which character do you want in figural form most from season 2? So, I know you weren't expecting this one, but just looking at season 2, which figure would you want the most?
Hmm. I'll remove the obvious answer of Luke on a Mandalorian card with that
Mhm.
image of the because I think that would be just a given.
Mhm.
Um, this-
And we did just get an excellent version of him as a Jedi Knight uh,
Brilliant,
from
brilliant,
Star
yeah,
Wars.
gorgeous. One of
Return
my
of the Jedi.
favourites, actually. I think of the vintage collection so far. I mean, the Marshal. That would is coming to mind.
That's a really good shout. That's a
I
really good
think,
shout.
yeah, because of Timothy Oliphant's slim figure
Yeah,
and having him in the Boba Fett costume, I think that would be a really, really good. If they nail it, be a really good figure.
yeah, absolutely.
How about
Um,
yourself?
I think that's a really good shout on the Cobb Vanth, largely because he's not somebody we've got. Or yes, we've got Boba Fett, but with the helmet off, that's not Boba Fett. It's a very different character. Um, for me, I've asked the question and then I didn't have an answer myself lined up. That was a bit daft. Um, let me have a think. I mean, I'm gonna get some cheeky hints from the comments. So yeah, I think the Dark Trooper, absolutely very good shout. Certainly that variant of it, because we've had a couple of other ones in the line in the past. But that's a definite good shout. Fennec Shand or Tatooine Boba Fett. Again, both good options. Um, now, yeah, Mayfield. I think we kind of need all of that crew from season 1, definitely. Hopefully they'll get out to it. I do like the one in season 2 where he's in that tank driver armor. Um, Certainly for the possibility of head swaps,
Mhm.
because you could very easily, once you've got the Mayfield one out there, we got a beautiful Din Djarin. Well, I suppose we need a new Din Djarin one with a short buzz cut to go with it. Yeah. Oh, I think for me, it's Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan in the 3.75 is probably the one I would really want to see. Because the Black Series one looks cracking, looks really good. Great likeness to Katie Sackhoff. I think having that one on a vintage collection card would be fantastic. And if some rumours are to be believed, that's hopefully on the cards. But yeah, she'd be my number one pick for that. And yeah, yes, Daniel, I think we can all associate with that one. And I think that would be a great shout as well if we got that.
The fact that even made it to the cut is shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Well, you say that. I mean, I for my sins, I used to work in film and television and loved every minute of it. But the pressure and the pace that you're under to get through things, it's a miracle that more things like that don't end up in the show. Yes, you get your blooper reels and this, that, and the other, but considering the pace that you typically have to work at, it is an absolute miracle that you don't end up with more of those things happening.
Could have been worse, Chris. It could have been Ryan Johnson in jeans.
Don't you dare. Yeah, and that's exactly. I think customizers will probably be able to actually cobble together most of what you need to make the tank driver on that one. So yeah, definitely a good shout. Right, we are coming up on. Well, we've just passed an hour and 20 minutes. I was looking at about an hour and a half for tonight. So I think we are going to start to wrap things up. Is there anybody any questions from anybody in the comments for thoughts on the live stream that we've had today from the Fan First Friday stuff? Overall, I thought it was a pretty good stream. Certainly for the first one of the year. I think the next one's probably going to be, like I say, around about Toy Fair time. A couple of weeks, about a month time maybe, before we get some more stuff, and yeah, hopefully some good stuff coming up, all being well. But yeah, yes, I think, like I say, we're probably going to start wrapping things up. So, John, where can people find you?
Nowhere on a stage, that's for sure.
Why not?
I've turned into a pensioner, Chris. I'm doing nothing but walking, reading, and watching the chase.
Well, yeah, it's got to be quite difficult for you in the those that are normally on stage. So yeah, is there any...
I've kind of avoided the online stuff at the minute. It just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too Birmingham by the sound, and it's a beautiful place. A
local boy.
To me, you just cannot replicate being in front of the crowd and having that connection and the laughter. You know, I saw 2 online stand-up shows. One guy was talking into a spoon, and he had to mute all of the audience because they were talking amongst themselves, so he couldn't even hear if they were laughing or not. Daniel, you're close to Birmingham. I'm a yam, which is more Black Country area. We generally don't like to get confused, but I do have somewhat of a drawling accent. So yeah, I've completely, you are right. I am a Midlander.
Yeah, it's yeah, all us Midlanders. that are kicking about on here.
July.
Dudley, oh, this is Rose. I eat.
Boston cup of time, I'm on.
Yeah, so anybody that does want to find you, obviously you are on Instagram. Is it was it Jon?
Yeah, Jon, just Jon JON _ Hipkiss.
Yep.
And then fingers crossed, there's bigger fish to fry at the minute, but hopefully by the spring and the summer we can get the ball rolling again and get back to what I enjoy doing and like to do. But it's stuff like this, Chris, that I was only talking today. This might be slightly off topic, but it ties in. Talking to somebody today, and they said, this has highlighted the fact I have no hobbies. I said, surely you have a hobby. They said, no, they said we have no hobbies at all. But stuff like this helps us get through.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is the hobbies that keep us going. I do remember that video, and it was absolute pain in the backside, wandering around, finding absolutely nothing but chalking Star Wars all the way around. So that's the fun part, isn't it? And that's the bit that keeps us going. And that's why we're here. I do want to say thank you very much to everybody that's been in the chat today. Again, if you haven't already, do click the like button and subscribe to the channel. We will have some more stuff coming up soon. And yeah, thank you all ever so much for watching. And I'm going to say see you all very soon. Have a good one. Stay safe and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks for having us.